And welcome yet again to Gamereactor Live, which is kind of a fake Gamereactor Live because, I'm here with Lars Bonde,
Yes,
who is the cinematic animation lead on Watch Dogs.
that is correct.
And by the time you guys are watching this, you're probably back home in Canada again.
Or visiting the folks, I'm not sure.
Oh, yeah,
we'll see.
yeah. You might have guessed why, and what we're going to talk about. I'm
I hope so.
thinking Watch Dogs.
Yeah, something like that,
Yeah.
I think, yeah. Watch Dogs.
It's out now, and you have seen the reviews, and you've probably celebrated a bit, and
Absolutely.
and been crying a bit at times. I'm quite sure. What do you think of the whole launch?
Well, personally, I've been very satisfied with seeing the feedback that we've gotten from all the gamers out there, and how they enjoy playing the game. Reviews, always reviews. Personally, I'm quite happy with what I've seen. I haven't read them all, just because I've been on the press tour, so I haven't actually had the time. And there's still a few reviews that I'd like to watch, but I'm happy with you guys. It was nice to see your articles and the scores that you gave us.
Yeah, we gave it between 8 and 9
Yes.
in the whole Gamereactor network.
Something like that, yeah.
That goes from meaning great to fantastic, so I'm guessing that's
I hope
a
so.
pretty good one. We're going to talk a bit about the voice acting and stuff like that, because basically you've been in charge of doing stuff like that.
Yes.
Making sure we get the right actors and stuff like that.
Yep. All the cinematics, basically executing on the story of Watch Dogs that the lead writer and his team has manufactured and written, and that's what I've been busy with for the last 2.5, 3 years for me personally.
I know you did quite a lot of work to getting that whole Chicago feel into the game.
Absolutely.
Tell me about that.
Well, it was important for us. Chicago is a very diverse city and has a lot of people from everywhere, but it was very important for us that we actually captured some of that flavor. So not only did we cast in Chicago, we also casted in other places in North America, in Los Angeles. We were in New York as well, Vancouver in Canada, and Toronto in Canada as well. Just to get a nice mix of it. For people that don't know, Chicago is pretty close to Canada as well, so it has a lot of mix of people from everywhere around the world. But not only that, actually, for all the NPCs, everybody that you meet in the world, they've all been recorded in Chicago as well. The sound team spent months and months literally recording all the living NPCs in the city, life there. Even all the ambient sounds and stuff like that are actually recorded in Chicago. That's been very, very important for us.
Also, as far as I understand, you have kind of a new pipeline going with the way you record voices and do all the animation and acting.
It's
together.
a common misconception these days, I think, for a lot of games that we're talking about voice acting. More and more the games today are actually shooting on set, at the same time also recording the voices, and that was super important for us. We wanted to make sure that the actors could do their performance and we didn't have to replicate that in a sound studio afterwards to record the voices. So in almost 99% of what you see, it's a one-to-one. So their actions that they're doing is exactly the same as when they also speak. That's recorded on set. Not only that, we wanted to make the actors as comfortable on set as possible. So we made sure we had a director photographer and several camera guys there as well that gave them something to act to.
So they're not just going, acting around like
exactly.
crazy. Yeah.
I think one of the best descriptions that I've had about what it's like to do mocap at times, especially if the cameras are not on, is kind of to be on a theater stage, and there's no audience to act to, and all the stage lights are on, so it's kind of confusing. So in that sense, when you put cameras on set, even if you do adapt them afterwards, the actors have a sense of direction of where they're acting to. And when they're really on, so that's very important. Not only that, we also had boomers that are actually recording the sound live, and they also have a new type of helmet camera that we had on that films their faces, and it has a microphone on top of the helmet.
So you're getting 2 recordings of the voices.
Absolutely, because you want to have the range as well. You want to have up close. If the camera is close, you want to make sure that audio is actually recorded close, and sometimes you can also move the booms a little bit further away if you're projecting more. So.
And you had, I mean, they're not just, as you said, they're not just acting in front of a green screen or something. You actually did a lot to, make sure that they had some of the right props.
Absolutely. It was very key to us as well. For people that don't know motion capture, you're literally dressed in this like tight, lucrative suit, kind of like a swimmer suit or something. Yeah, it's very. Yeah. It shows off all your assets. And you have all these dots on you, so it can be a new experience and an uncomfortable experience for people that are not used to it, which most of our actors weren't. So in that sense, they have to really get into it, and for them to be able to get into it, we want to make sure that we build everything as we can that they interact with. So everything that they would touch, things that they would interact with needed to be there. Things like they needed to look at was very important, that they had sense of direction.
Is that a way to avoid clipping and stuff like that?
For
as
sure,
well,
for sure. Yeah. But it's also just to, even if there's sometimes differences, it's not all our models are built by a prop master typically. That's on set. So sometimes like, oh, tomorrow we need a new door for the car that we have, or something like that, just because the dimensions might be a little bit different. Obviously, we have a lot of cars and stuff. But the car rig is literally this adaptable thing that's all metal bars put together and kind of resembles a car with doors and with the front of a car and gear shift and steering wheel and all that stuff. But it needs to be adaptable, and it needs to be something that the actors can actually sit and use and feel is still like a car.
You're talking about going to Chicago, having all these actors and stuff like that, but the main character, Norm Jenkins, that's the one who's playing Aiden Pierce in the game, right? He's not from Chicago. No,
he's a little bit from everywhere. I think he's actually born originally in Quebec in Canada, but have lived many years in Los Angeles. He's been in quite a lot of different Hollywood productions, but is presently living in Toronto, in Canada.
Which ones?
As well.
You mentioned Hollywood productions.
He's been in Saw, and he was in a long-running series called Rookie Blue, stuff like that. So he's done a lot of different work. The same actually for Aaron Douglas, who plays Geordie in our game. The last thing you might have seen him in is maybe a Netflix original series, Hemlock Grove. He's the sheriff in that. But he's also Master Chief from Battlestar Galactica, which might be some, So I mean, it's people with a good list of credentials for sure. One of the guys we found in Chicago is Gerard Hayes. He's playing as Iraq, that some people might already have met in the game when they're playing. Fantastic character. Was kind of involved a little bit originally in the gang environment and whatnot, and did a tremendous effort trying to get into character and interviewed and met with actual present-day gangsters, if you will, in Chicago, just to really get a mood for his character and stuff like that.
So you're pretty happy with your choice?
Absolutely, very much so.
I know we've had a lot of different opinions about, Aiden Pierce. I know a lot of our reviewers actually really liked the character. The Danish reviewer didn't. Basically, he thought he sounded like this way too much and was too one-dimensional.
Yes. I think that, it's one of the classic challenges you'll see when you develop an open world game. We've talked a little bit about this before, right? It's you have this concept of you can be good and you can be bad in a game, and I think a lot of this would often mean that you have a certain perception when you play a game a certain way, that the character will be one way or the other. For us, we really worked closely with Norm to develop Aiden Pierce, and he was very involved in project. We did a lot of combat training, like I mentioned to you before going on camera, and we worked closely with the stunt guy as well. So Norm got a full picture of who Aiden Pierce really is, and it was important for us to also trust Norm and his judgment on what his character was. But at the same time, we didn't really want to go too extreme on either end, because it's important that the players can actually relate to some extent with the character, no matter how they play the game.
So that's a bit why you're kind of making him, well, not neutral, but not as...
He has to be. If you look at the cinematics, when you play through the game, you'll see one dimension of Aiden Pierce when he's talking to his family, like his sister Nikki or his nephew Jackson. When he has conversations with them, there's definitely one way of communicating. But then there's also, like, I can almost call it the professional side of Aiden, when he's talking to his associates and
his hired guns or whatever.
Yes, exactly. I mean, fixers, as we call them in the game. Jordy is a fixer. Clara originally is really pretty much a fixer as well, but it kind of becomes friends a little bit as well. You'll meet T-Bone as well, and Aiden has a certain persona towards them, and that's part of the story for sure.
Now we are sort of, we're over that, but I've still got a question. You answered it early on when we were talking about that whole. Aren't games strong enough to, give another story than the typical Hollywood blockbuster thing? Or why do you make that choice, do you think?
Well, I think it's again a balance. If you're making a big open world game, you gotta cater to a wide audience. I don't know if it's necessarily the safe way. I don't work really in that part of the department, but story-wise. It's important that we have something that some people definitely can relate to, but we also don't go too extreme in either case, I think. So I think maybe, a little bit of more mass market appeal. I think that's only natural when we make such a big game as Watch Dogs.
Another question here, and that's, also blockbuster related, I think. Watch Dogs, of course, is one of your big games now from Ubisoft. Another one is The Division.
Yes.
And I remember seeing that E3 demo where this guy is running past
demo,
it is. But he's running past the car, sort of hits the door, closes it, and it's just like, oh. I had that as a GIF for ages because I just thought it was so cool. And I mean, do you have anything like that in Watch Dogs where you kind of feel like this is one of my proud moments, or where you feel like you put your touch on that?
Absolutely. Nothing quite like The Division. That's more on the gameplay side of things, where colleagues of mine would be able to talk more about that. On my side, of course, I mean, the overall feel and look of the cinematics and the characters is something I'm very proud of. But some of the fun moments we've definitely had outside of just the pure story part of it is when you walk around the game, there's all these like Wi-Fi connection hotspots that you can connect into. And when you hack into those, you can get peeks inside people's homes and their lives through the web cameras and stuff like that, and they have no idea that you're watching. One of the ones we showed was where you could hack into this guy's computer, and there's two people sitting on a couch. You can't really see from the back, but then you can hack in his iPad that's in front of him. And it turns out that it's a mannequin that he's sitting next to that he's stolen, and he's trying to have conversations with her. That's a fun little moment. I think we've shown another one in the trailer without giving too much away, where you see a guy, he's still dressed, but he's on a bed, and there's pretty much a naked woman in front of him with a gun doing a little bit of a Russian roulette kind of style. I don't know.
And that was your idea?
Role play, yes. That was something we definitely worked on.
So that gave you quite the reputation at the office, I'm guessing.
Yes, I am that weird guy at the office that does those kind of things, I guess, yeah. So.
All right. Well, you are, heading back to Canada soon,
Yes.
and probably you may or may not, this is the great thing about fake live TV. May be home, may not be home at the moment. I'm not sure. Forget about it. I didn't say that. That's very confusing. But I think I should let you end with a message to our viewers.
Well, thanks for having me, first of all.
Thank you for coming.
Thanks for watching. I hope you're enjoying the game Watch Dogs. Don't hesitate. I love when you see videos like this to leave comments in there. I'm still one who watches the comments. There's always good things to learn from that, and then get the feedback from the players is definitely very important. One thing I also often read, even on Metacritic, read the user scores and stuff like that, and see what users think of the game. I think it's very useful as well. So don't be shy. Shoot away your comments.
Well, thank you. And now back to the real, not so fake live stream.
Something like that. See ya.